Hello, gorgeous.
You see, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
You're tearing me apart!
On your butt.
Round up the usual suspects.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Midnight Movie Nerds.
Woo-hoo!
My name is Louis.
And I am Princess Naomi.
That's right, our wonderful princess. And today we had discussed about doing an episode with Robin Williams. Mm-hmm. And we're like, we can't do Robin Williams in one episode. There's
can't do him
no
justice.
fucking way.
No, not at all.
So we decided to concentrate today just strictly on his Liveonbroadway special. So this is an HBO special that dropped in early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like 2003 or something, 2 or 3.
2002? Something like that. It was early 2000s because it was still when Bush was still in office, right?
Yeah, and it was post...
post 9/11.
Yeah.
So...
But yeah, so we decided to do that instead, and then we'll kind of go through his career little by little.
We'll do a couple of different episodes that focus on it because there's just his career is so all-encompassing. There's no way to do it justice in one episode.
And on top of that, we don't want to do it in one episode.
Oh, no, we want to enjoy
it. He is a man that I think he's near and dear to both of our hearts.
Very much so. And he's such an icon of our generation.
Yeah,
so definitely. Many generations, actually, but especially ours because I think he came out with so many of his prime movies when we were growing up. And they went the range of from kids' movies to very serious drama. So he's just one of those actors, I think, that you appreciate their work at any age, so...
I agree 100%, and it's definitely one of those that kind of he pushed the envelope in a lot of different ways, and in particular when he does something like this, like a Liveonbroadway, you get to see him completely out of the norm and completely outside of the...
Well, what I really loved about this is when he does stand up, and especially when he reached this level, he was basically given free range. He could do whatever he wanted. He could say whatever he wanted. He wasn't censored on any level, which is apparent all the way through it.
Yeah.
But that is what he was genius at. And also what was really great is he was feeding off the crowd.
Yes.
And that was so much of what he did. And all through this special, you can see how he's responding and reacting to what are they engaging with, what are they kind of not so happy about. But that is what his brilliance was reading a crowd and really just building, and there was no end to it. It was funny all the way through.
Yeah, this was a 2002 film.
Okay, yeah, 2002.
It was a 2002 HBO special. And honestly, the man runs an hour and a half long special. And he is literally balls to the wall, like nonstop jokes from the first minute all the way till the last, to that 130-minute mark.
Yes.
The man is fucking ball of energy and ball of sweat by the end.
Oh, really? But what I love about this is unlike a lot of other comedians where they're walking around the stage really slow, this was physical comedy on top of just the jokes. I love that. It was so... I think that's what makes the difference with Robin Williams is the fact that he relies so much on mixing it and blending it together. He does political satire, he does straight out potty humor, he does physical comedy.
He mixes and blends every comedic style.
And it can reach anybody. That's the thing. The only thing that I will say about any of his stand-up that I've seen is that it's very much, if you don't understand the references...
It's very dated.
It does get dated very, very quickly. And I think there are parts of it that a younger generation will always be able to get, but some of it they'll be like, what? I mean, because it's not as funny if you don't have that topical
It's political
moment.
of the moment.
So I think that's the only drawback sometimes to his humor, but if you do understand the references, it keeps.
If you're early millennial, anywhere between, if you basically from teen to 30s, 40s in the early 2000s, then you will really understand these jokes.
You'll appreciate it, and I think it's fun looking back, too, especially to see kind of what he said, and also because he spent a lot of time focusing on what it was going to be. So it's a cool thing to watch it every couple of years. I know I usually watch it at least once a year. Because I just love it so much, and it still makes me laugh, even like as much as it did the first time.
It makes your jaw hurt from laughing.
It really
so
does.
much.
I wasn't able to stay up straight because I was laughing so hard at one point. I was like literally laying on the couch going, "Oh, it's just too funny. I can't even stay up anymore."
And unlike most comedians, he actually he has little moments of swell in his humor where he puts the big jokes at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end.
Yep.
So it actually like just elevates you even further, and it makes you feel like something that just transcends.
What I really love is when he fucks up basically, and he just rolls with it though. And I think that's the best part. Like, he doesn't get thrown off by it at all. He actually just goes on with it, and he makes fun of himself, which was actually a Johnny Carson tactic, where he would make fun of how bad the jokes were when they failed entirely. So I love that about Robin. I love the fact that he wasn't perfect, but he would acknowledge it, and it made it funnier. Every time he messed up, it was actually really, really funny. So, and
just seeing, there's a twist of words that he does that just, it's something to behold. Every time he's like a freaking word master, that he puts these things together, and he does this comedic approach, yet also being informative with his comedy.
But I also love that in this you see the range of his voice acting abilities.
Oh,
he does so many different dialects, and it's all the way through, and he switches on a dime, and it's very much like what I imagine probably watching him record Aladdin would have been like.
Oh yeah,
where he just keeps going and going and going, and he can just switch from Scottish to French to Jamaican to nothing stops him.
Yeah,
and it's hilarious and makes the jokes even funnier.
Yeah,
because I think a lot of them, they'd still be funny, they just wouldn't be as funny without his energy and all that behind it. So I think you can really see also his training as an actor as well with this.
What is your favorite joke in particular? One joke or skit that actually worked the best for you?
Well, I'm kind of torn between two, actually. So one of the ones that I actually usually quote a lot, I don't know why, is the golf. The Scottish invention of golf. I'm going to give you a little funky stick here. 10 fucking times. I love that skit. I think it is timeless. I think it's hilarious. It blends everything. But also, I gotta say, the skit at the end about Viagra.
The Viagra, yeah. That for me is...
It was so funny and so spot on that I love that part of it. So I think it's those two were my favorite bits out of it, but I love the whole thing, and it's really hard to pick a favorite.
I know. It really is. Mine, for me, is the Viagra first, and then right after that is the Cheney, behind-the-scenes Cheney.
Yeah.
I fucking love that. The angioplasty. Blah, 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 blah.
I'm fine. I love it a lot, though, and like I said, I love the fact that so much of it isn't his physical humor.
Oh, yeah.
And the way he moves and the way he dances during it, it's just so much energy. I was tired watching him. I would get sweaty like that. He was nasty sweaty, though.
Dude,
it was dripping off his shirt. I love it when he's talking about the gorilla, though. When an 800-pound gorilla has you by the tits, you listen. But those are the things, and I think it's just... Like, when I look at his movies, those are the things I love the most. The fact that he was a physical comedian. You see that in other actors. Like, Jim Carrey's a prime example of someone who uses physical comedy, but it's in a different way.
He does it completely different.
Yeah, but I mean, like, where they can use it, where they're going on all cylinders, and they just don't hold back. And that is so much of what they are. And, like...
But Robin Williams is something else, because he has that physical aspect, but he also has that intellectual aspect, which a lot of them don't.
They really don't. Like especially early Jim Carrey, where he relied a lot on potty humor and physical humor, and that was what kind of his niche was.
But even him, he didn't write his own skits.
Whereas, and Robin Williams is notorious for being an ad-libber, for kind of doing it on the fly, and people will just roll with it because they knew it was going to be great. I think this stand-up comedy is very close in nature to my favorite movie of his, which is The Birdcage. Yeah. Which, again, physical comedy, very cerebral comedy at some places, and it's just amazing.
He toes that line very, very
brilliantly.
well.
He's really good. He can, and what's really great is the fact that he can toe the line of PC humor.
Exactly.
And because he does it in such a way where he's basically, it's sort of like South Park. He's offending everybody on some level. So it's really funny because it levels the playing field. No one's safe in Robin Williams' world. And
even
I
the Jewish.
love that. No. It better be immaculate, Mary. It better be.
And Jesus is Jewish because he's 30, living with his mom, and thinks he's a gift from God. I love that. That's good.
As a mom, I can totally back that up. As a Jewish mom to boot, I can totally back that up. That my son is the gift from God every day. No woman will ever be good enough for him. So I love this. I think it's amazing. I think it is Robin Williams at his peak. Yeah. And I think it was such a credit to his accomplishments. The fact that HBO basically said, here's a stage for an hour and a half, do whatever the hell you want. It's a credit to him and him as a comedian.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
You know, I mean, he was, and especially during that time, because he was going back and forth between very heavy dramatic roles at that time, too. He wasn't backing away from comedy, but I do think he was branching out more, and he was broadening what he was doing as an actor during that time. So this was really great to see him just in his element. He could do what he wanted, and you see that. And I've seen other stand-up that he's done, and it's very much the same, but I think he was more, because he wasn't as well known when he did his earlier stand-up, he was more restricted on what he could do.
So
this
put it
was
this
just
way.
Perfect.
That same year that he did this, they released Insomnia, Death to Smoochie, and 1 Hour Photo.
See, and those were all darker. Those were dark for him, especially Insomnia. Insomnia is very dark.
And 1 Hour Photo.
Yeah, 1 Hour Photo is too bad. It's Insomnia, it's like, it's probably one of the rare movies where I actually was rooting against Robin by the end. Like, I'm like, but he was so good in it. That's the thing. He was so good in that role. I was like, I just don't like you right now, Robin, because you know, you're freaking crazy. But I love that he was willing to push the envelope with his movies. And, you know, a lot of them didn't do very good during that time.
No.
They didn't, but I think it's because Robin strayed so much from what people were used to during that time. I think they had to readjust to Robin in a different setting.
I mean, after this, he kind of lost his shit a little bit, and he started doing a lot of voice acting, a lot of children's films, and stuff like that, and he went a completely different route and reinvented himself after 2002.
He really did.
So you could tell that he kind of did this paradigm shift, and this was his final hurrah before that paradigm shifted himself.
It was. And you know,
I think that's really cool, though, and to see that in an actor, to do that, because that's the magical part about Robin Williams, is that he's not just a comedian, he is a fucking actor.
But would you say that maybe Good Will Hunting was sort of a turning point in his career? I know he won an Academy Award for that role.
I would say it was before that. Do
you think that, because I know that before that he did do more comedy films. I'm sorry, did I see Jerry Maguire flip by on that? Sorry.
No, Patch Adams.
Oh, okay, I was like, wait.
Yeah, no,
when did he do Good Will Hunting? Like,
that was
97. So you're talking, what, 5 years later when he was starting to shift. And before that, he did a lot of comedy, though. Like, lighthearted comedy. Tu Wong Fu. Oh, my gosh. I love him in Tu Wong Fu. Just that little bit. That's the thing. He doesn't have to be in a long portion of any movie to really make his mark.
Yeah.
At all. But
dude, his voice acting is phenomenal.
It's beyond reproach in my mind.
You could see his energy level in this. Like, this is all those movies, the culmination of all those movies put together. Imagine that beginning scene of, Good Morning Vietnam, consistent. That's what he did. And it's like Patch Adams meets that energy from Good Morning Vietnam, and that's what he did in this. And it
was amazing. I mean, it just... To be able to carry a crowd that long, too. Most stand-up does not last that long. I mean, I think most of them top out at about an hour, right?
An hour at the most.
An hour at the most.
And even then it feels like an hour.
Yeah, this did not feel like an hour and a half.
It feels like half an hour.
Yeah.
At the most.
Yeah.
It goes super quick. And I see a lot of stand-up comedy. This is the best stand-up comedy I have ever seen. And that is coming from somebody that I love Chappelle. And I love his stand-up. Mm-hmm. But holy shit, this man could bring it and bring it hard.
I love stand-up so much, and this to me is still 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. This
like,
definitely is.
Beyond any kind of nitpicking about it. I mean, yeah, you could say, well, yeah, he was like, he slipped a few times and he had some, mess-ups in it, but I think that made it even better. It was perfect. It was perfect beginning to end. That. He does. And that's the best part. I love it so much. So, I mean...
I don't think there's a single joke that misses in this. I don't think there's a single moment where I'm like, at least smirking a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's all funny, and nothing else. Even if you don't get the reference, just the way he delivers it, it's funny. Because you can kind of.
He does the cat pissing. Mine. Thank
God, men aren't like that. But men are a little bit. Anywho.
But yeah, no, I really think that if you haven't seen this is one of those that it's not streaming anywhere, unfortunately, but you can go out and buy it. It's like usually about $10.
Not DVD. Even. You can get a used copy for like $5 on Amazon
yeah, exactly.
Or something like that, yeah.
Or just go onto YouTube and you could actually find like a highlight reel of all the episodes.
Most of it, yeah.
Pretty much, and just put it together and watch the highlight reel of it. So honestly, this is definitely something I recommend.
Absolutely. It'd be my top recommendation for anyone who likes stand-up, who likes Robin Williams. This is a must-see. Yeah. If you haven't.
And we're actually going to be going into a couple other topics, and we're going to go into Robin Williams fully and actually dissect his career a little bit more, because this is one that him and the late, oh my god, I just blanked out on his name. Holy fuck.
Alan Rickman
are another one that we want to go into their careers and kind of bounce back and forth between these two, because both of these two, obviously they passed away, both of them, and on top of that they had a huge impact on our lives ourselves. So, and their films are something that we hold up in high esteem. So it's definitely something that we want to kind of escalate.
Yeah, and I think it's important, especially with Robin, because his career ran the gauntlet.
Oh, yeah.
On so many levels, and I think it'd be very hard to do justice to it.
There's no way.
Without really doing a deep dive into especially his early career.
Yeah. I mean, the man's been in 110 films.
Yeah, but also on top of that, he paved the way for so much, and he had a hard time of it. And I think that's the most fascinating thing. When you look at him now, you always assume that people would have appreciated Robin, but he really had a very difficult time in the beginning because he didn't follow scripts. He didn't pay attention to rules. He liked to ad-lib. He liked to just go with it and kind of go off script. And when you're early on as an actor, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I think, I love him so much that he stayed true to himself, and I think this stand-up is the epitome of that.
Yeah, it definitely is. And you could tell the man was troubled at this point.
What was interesting to me is there's a little very clip at the end. It's like half a second. It's him running off stage, but his face completely drops when he gets off stage. Yes. And I found, not to take away from the majesty that is this stand-up, but I thought that was really interesting. It was almost like he was drained of energy by the end, which, probably physically he was, but he's known as sort of that sad clown figure where he was jovial and funny and outgoing and no one expected anything. And of course, we all know how his life ended. He was actually struggling with depression. Yeah. And I think you hear about that with a lot of stand-up comedians where they're actually very depressed, kind of dark people almost. Yeah. In there. And so that was interesting to me at the very end where you see him, his expression changes on it, right away as soon as he's off stage. And it's interesting to me. But he never let the audience see that.
No, never.
And I thought that was so great. Although I do love the part when he's talking about piercings and he points to the lady in the audience and he's like, lady, I'm guessing. I love that so much.
I see the outline.
It was engaging the audience, though, where the girl with the pink hair, how he rubs her head. This is what it was. He connected with people because they knew how much, he knew how much they loved him. Yeah. And he wasn't too good for that.
No, and from what I've heard, he was never egotistical on stage. Mm-mm. He was never egotistical on any film set. He was one of those people that would help actors and kind of make them feel comfortable. Yeah. Especially young actors. And that's why he worked so well in children's film, because he was able to work with those child actors and help them evolve. Yes. And I think that's important, because at this point in stage in his life, he had just gone through that divorce and lost the custody battle to see his son and all that stuff because of the drug. Yeah. So this is him post-rehab, post-divorce, post-losing his son. Mm-hmm. So he is at literally the pinnacle of being that sad clown. And absolutely. And that's why he said it in a documentary that I saw, Come Into Your Mind. It was actually, he was talking about how he wanted to connect with his son. Since he wasn't able to see him, he wanted to connect through the only thing that he could do, which is through the media of film. Yes.
And but it is really it's a credit, and I want to, we'll talk about more in another episode, but the legacy he's left behind. Oh. This being one of them. But, I mean, his movies, this stand-up, everything he did is going to... It made its mark in Hollywood.
Not only that,
he was just such an epitome, and he's left such a legacy for everyone.
He's also changed the paradigm when it comes to looking at depression and accepting that somebody suffers from depression. He brought that to the forefront. Sadly, it came due to his death, but
that was one I cried about. I cried when I heard about that. I couldn't...
I don't cry about celebrities passing away because I have no personal connection with them.
You have no soul. Well, we've established that.
So him... I literally lost my shit.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, this has to be a mistake. Robin Williams, I mean, I was in shock. Yeah. But then once you read about what he was going through and his mental state, it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't make it any easier to deal with, but you understand it. He was so depressed. And the fact that nobody even really realized it says a lot about him as a person, that he never... and it would have been good if he had reached out to someone. It probably could have saved his life. But it says a lot that nobody was even aware, because he didn't want to make anyone else bear that burden.
Yeah.
So,
and I think I wanted to use kind of this episode to highlight that point because it was that paradigm shift in his world, honestly. And anybody out there suffering from depression or anything like that, reach out to any one of us, honestly, like any of the Manbitesmedia crew, including Naomi if you want to. And
including Naomi if you want.
No, but also like we have the Diversely Geek crew that's what their specialized is, in helping people come out of their shells and embrace who they are and get past that depression that holds us back. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love that partnership with Diversely Geek so much. And I want you guys to understand everybody suffers through depression. And I think it's something important that we all are able to actually face and open up to people about.
Robin Williams, I think, is the epitome of someone who needed help and he didn't reach out for it.
And we could have had an amazing person, an amazing human being, and an amazing actor still with us if he would have. If our society wasn't so hung up on gender, basically gender identities and gender roles, that guys can't show weakness, guys can't do this, do that. That's all bullshit. Guys could feel and feel as bad as women can.
I think it's also the epitome of the fact that, Robin Williams he was a millionaire many times over. He had fame, he had acclaim, he had fans, and it still wasn't enough. So, I mean, it's easy to see how someone who doesn't have all that and is struggling through other issues, either financial or relationship, they're going to be impacted even more by it. But someone like him, who you would never expect, because he seemingly had everything that he would want or need, so reach out. Reach out to somebody, anybody.
Yeah. And substance abuse is not something to take lightly. It's something that definitely, if you do see that you are struggling with something and trying to get rid of an addiction, reach out for help. It doesn't make you weak. It actually makes you stronger. So, I know we went a little dark.
This went episode. Really dark. I was just literally thinking like, wow, this started out really peppy and light and it went really dark.
But I mean, that's kind of fitting for Robin Williams, I think.
It is. The sad clown.
Yeah, exactly.
Of Hollywood.
So definitely, if you do want to perk up a little bit now after listening to us, check out Robin Williams Liveonbroadway on YouTube, or buy it. Please enjoy this because it is fucking glorious piece of... And
always will be, and it's amazing. And I'm telling you, the scene where he is like, "Is this what the ladies see when we go down on you?" Oh my God. It was perfection.
Yeah.
It was absolute perfection.
Stomach still hurts from that one.
Only Robin could have gotten away with.
And just his facial expression.
When he looks up like the hopeful, oh, you're not there yet. Let me go back down again.
And the little nipples. The play with the nipples.
No, you know what though? Really quick, the other thing I love is the love glove. When you're trying to put a condom on and try to stay hard while you're doing it. Yeah, baby, I got a love glove right here. Stay hard, stay hard.
We lost the sail. The wind.
We're not going in today.
So, anyways, thank you guys. My name is Louis.
I am Princess Naomi.
And we are Midnight Movie Nerds. We'll be here next week for another episode.